if you guys didn't know, like recently there was a 5-year anniversary for Uncharted 4. So over at Crossroads, we decided since we love Naughty Dog and all of their franchises that we would talk about this because it's fun, it's wonderful, and I love Uncharted. It's the reason why I bought a PlayStation 3. And you know what? Let's just go ahead and let's just hop right into it. All right. The legacy of Uncharted and Uncharted 4's 5th-year anniversary. In case you did not know, Uncharted is set to turn 15 years old real soon, the entire franchise. The first game for one of Sony's most favorite franchises was introduced in 2007 for the PlayStation 3 consoles, bringing us fast and frenetic action, mind-bending puzzles, and death-defying platforming. Uncharted Drake's Fortune brought to us a whole new world that would span a total of 8 different titles, and the gaming community is still in love with Naughty Dog's favorite action series to date. The action-adventure game series created by Amy Hennig, developed by Naughty Dog and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment for PlayStation consoles, Uncharted, the franchise, has racked up lots of awards and accolades, including PS3 Game of the Year from IGN, BAFTA Game Awards in 2010 for Uncharted 2 Among Thieves, Outstanding Visual Engineering and Outstanding Achievement in Art Direction for Uncharted 3 Drake's Deception, and culminating with Uncharted 4 Thief's End for PS4's bagging PlayStation Game of the Year from the Golden Joystick Awards, Adventure Game of the Year from the DICE Awards, and becoming the game in the series that won the most Game of the Year awards for the year 2016. The Uncharted series featured a combination of action-adventure gameplay elements and 3D platforming with a third-person perspective. Players are given various physical tasks which must be completed to progress through the storyline, such as jumping, swimming, grabbing, and moving along ledges, and climbing and swinging from ropes. Shooting and combat and puzzle solving are also a mainstay feature for the game itself. In later titles, driving, boat riding, and other acrobatic actions were added or developed into the series. The series mainly follows the titular character, Nathan Drake, the center protagonist for the franchise. Drake is a treasure hunter and a thrill seeker, and is always looking for a big score, and he claims to be a descendant of Sir Francis Drake. Spoiler alert, he is not.
Wow, spoilers. You're all kinds of spoilery on this. I hope everyone listening to this episode played Uncharted.
I had 15 years to do it.
In his adventures, Nate is joined by his father figure and mentor, a man by the name of Victor Sullivan, who picked him up on the streets in Colombia when he was a wayward orphan. And he is always along for the ride in many of Drake's escapades. Other notable characters in the series include Elena Fisher, who is an investigative reporter, and, spoiler alert, the eventual wife for Drake. And as well as Chloe Fraser, another adventurer with a much more reckless streak about her. All right, so they're coming directly from the blog from Naughty Dog with the Uncharted 4 retrospective. The developers had this to say: Nathan Drake was, in addition to being a very smart, learned person who obviously knew a lot about history and used that as his superpower, was also a bit of an adrenaline junkie, a thrill seeker. Someone who was restless, someone who was looking for the next big thing. That sort of manifested itself in some of the early games with the fact that he seemed to be constantly getting together with and breaking up with Elena. Uncharted would go on to have 3 major sequels and 2 spin-off titles, and there is a movie that's been forever in the works, but you know, we'll get there when we get there, I guess. Recently, the bookend game in the series, Uncharted 4 Thief's End, just celebrated its 5th-year anniversary, and the creative team at Naughty Dog took the time to have a retrospective for PS4's entry to the series. We make story games. Uncharted and The Last of Us are very different games, explained Dinah Bakir in the blog post over at naughtydog.com. As a matter of fact, I will add the link to that blog right now, so if anyone wants to read along with us, you're welcome to do that. All right. I think it's because we're taking the fundamentals of design and applying it to the canvas we're working on. We try to understand the essence and the emotions behind what we're trying to make and capture the essence in those mechanics. Marianne Hayden, who is the story animator at Naughty Dog and the lead cinematics animator for Uncharted 4, talked about the new approach the dev team took to animating faces, while Almadina Soria, the lead animator at Naughty Dog, explained how they sought to improve NPC traversal systems, working closely with the scripting and AI teams to push the boundaries of realistic player and NPC movements. In Uncharted 4, we're introduced to the man who knew Drake before he became a renowned treasure hunter, is Sam Drake, Nathan's older brother, who was previously presumed dead before this game came out. For better or worse, Sam is the one who finally pushes Nathan to return to adventuring, even if it means hiding his plans from Elena. Moreover, Sam serves to force Nathan to acknowledge the truth about his past. In the original draft of Uncharted 4, Sam was intended to be the primary antagonist. Although we see his manipulative behavior throughout the story, his role evolved to become more of a mirror of Drake's own personal demons and regrets. If Sam challenged Nate emotionally, Rafe Adler challenged Nate mortally. Rafe wound up becoming the villain for the story, the true villain for the story. While Nathan and Sam had to climb and fight their way to glory, Rafe is the man who's had it all. Uh, we needed somebody to contrast to the Drake brothers. Writer Jason shared the details. This is a guy who comes from 100% privilege, who had everything handed to him, and feels the need to prove himself that he can do these things. As the story unfolds in Uncharted 4, one prominent quality that Sam and Nathan share beyond blood is a desire for fortune and glory. However, while Sam is steadfast and resolute in his pursuit of treasure hunting, Nathan begins to realize that his priorities have changed. In a funny way, Uncharted is a lot about work-life balance and trying to find the balance between the things you're passionate about and the other things that are important to you, Josh states. I think Corey has also been mirroring all that tonight on the show. What happens when you sacrifice one for the other? Ultimately, Nathan finds what truly matters in his life, and that is Elena. Although it took a hunt for pirate treasure, battling countless mercenaries, and grappling with his past, his final hurdle is learning to truly balance his passions and the people in his life who matter. Josh perfectly sums up the conclusion of Uncharted 4 in these words. The game ends with Nate and Elena making the conscious choice to find compromise between illegal, explosive, death-defying stuff and sitting bored at home with boring jobs that they hate. They find something in between, and they play Crash Bandicoot. When it was all said and done, the franchise would turn out another Uncharted adventure. That adventure being The Lost Legacy. Okay. Special thanks to Naughty Dog for their wonderful blog. It's more detailed than what I actually went over. Please go over there and check it out. But now, for the guys here sitting tonight, what are your thoughts, memories, or better yet, triumphs for the overall Uncharted series? Justin, you're the guest tonight. Go first.
So I remember getting the first one when it came out because originally I bought a PlayStation 3 for God of War. That was the initial reason. That was also the year, the dreaded year that you and I were at GameStop.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
So that was a bright ray of hope in those dark times. Absolutely fell in love with the series. Loved the character. Somewhat relatable, for different reasons. The wit and all that kind of kept you invested in the story and the character development. And then actually, I can't really explain why. I kind of fell out. Like I didn't really play 2 or 3. I didn't have a Vita like Austin, so I didn't play the Golden Abyss either. But kind of rediscovered it when 4 came out. I was in Texas at school, at tech school for the military, and my roommate at the time, we actually both had PlayStation 4s, but he went out and bought Uncharted 4 and was playing it in the room, and I was just like, oh, I completely forgot about this. And so as I was leaving, because I left before he did, he actually gave me the 4 because he had played through it and beat it. And then around that time, the trilogy came out. I don't remember the exact time, but it came out on PlayStation Plus.
Mhm.
And so I was like, okay, now this is my chance to go back and play 1. I haven't played that in a long time, but then also play 2 and 3 and really get to see the scope of those games. And I think it's up there as far as top franchises that has come out on the PlayStation. Obviously, the success is there now where they're doing a movie adaptation, which could be a whole nother subject, I'm sure. But
Austin and I have had many words about this movie.
Let's keep it to the games. Let's keep it to the games.
I'll just say when I think of Nathan Drake, when I think of Drake, I think of Nathan Fillion for
Yes.
his Captain
Oh,
Hammer
yeah.
role especially, and that's just they screwed up on that, but we'll digress. But you see that when a video game franchise truly makes it, they at least attempt to adapt it into film or something like that. Most of the time, it doesn't work out, but I think that speaks to the culture that they created around this character and the motley crew that comes with him on these adventures, time after time after time. But yeah, no, I think it has that replayability factor where maybe you kind of put it aside for a while and then you want something. I like it the balance of where you have to interact and the cinematic experience as well. I think it's one of those that got it right. Some of those where they rely too much on one or the other. I think it was a good mix for me.
All right, Corey, you're our other guest. What's your overall thoughts on the Uncharted franchise?
Well, as people who've been listening for a long time know, I Indiana Jones is like my favorite film franchise. Yes, even the so-called terrible fourth one. I think it's great. I love it up until the last 5 minutes. But the fact that they not only attempted to make an Indiana Jones like game, but pretty much succeeded was everything I wanted out of a game. And all he's missing is a fedora and a whip, and it would be Indiana Jones, right? I mean, that's literally all he's missing. Like Justin, I bought a PlayStation 3 for God of War, right? God of War 3 was the big game. God of War 2 was amazing. And I love that franchise. So, but then Uncharted, I was like, man, what's this? And I had been a fan of Tomb Raider, right? Tomb Raider Legends was really good, and the anniversary and the stuff that Crystal Dynamic did before the reboot was really good. But man, something about this game, I don't think it's the best playing game in the world, right? I don't think the gameplay is great, which, to be fair, most Naughty Dog games, the gameplay is, I don't want to say it's bad, but it's not the greatest part of those games, right? You go in for the storytelling, the cinematics, the acting, that kind of stuff. But there's something about just the one-liners and the banter between the characters and just exploring the worlds with these characters that was awesome. And the more I think about Uncharted, the more and more I'm like, man, this is definitely one of my favorite PlayStation franchises, right? It's up there with Horizon and God of War for me. So I've played all of them. I think Uncharted 2 is probably my favorite. Uncharted 4 I feel was a little bit long for me. I feel like they could have cut about, let's see, it took me 21 hours to beat that game, I think. I think they probably could have cut about 8 of those hours out, and it would have been a near perfect experience, which is why I think I liked Lost Legacy more, honestly. Plus seeing more of Nadine and Chloe, and that was fun also. But yeah, Uncharted's great. Great franchise. Never played Golden Abyss, though. Sorry, Austin.
One day. One day.
One day.
You never,
Vita 2.
You never got the joys of using the touchpad to clean off your collectibles and stuff.
Oh man.
Yeah, look, when they said
that was honestly pretty fun. I'll
It
say
is the most satisfying part, honestly.
Yeah.
That's
thing
what I
that-
remember the most.
the thing that killed that version for me though was when they're like, "Hey, you have to hold your Vita up to a light for it to." I was like, "No, I'm not carrying a light around with me," you know. So
That's why I hate, like, with the Nintendo Switch, like, we use motion controls, and I'm like, I always play the Switch in bed, so great, now I gotta, like, move it all the way around and stuff. I was like, no.
And not drop it on your face.
Yeah.
but Uncharted is great. I hope they make another one. To be honest with you, it was one of those things. Who was I? I was talking to somebody that we used to podcast with a long time ago, and it was if they would just release like a $40 experience like Lost Legacy every 18 or 24 months, I think it would be great. Like $40 experience, just 10 to 12 hour campaign, be awesome.
Yeah.
I realize that's a lot of work.
It'd be great.
But they don't want
All right,
money.
All right, Austin, you're up.
Yeah, I mean, Uncharted is up there with the franchises like Mass Effect and BioShock and Arkham and stuff like that, where like I've always have a craving to go back. And anytime I hear someone talk about it on the podcast, I have the the taste to go back in it. But the thing with those games is I always want to play all of them in the series.
Yeah.
And Arkham takes a while to get through, and Mass Effect takes a while to get through. But Uncharted is not that long. You can get through all games pretty easily. You can get through all of them in the same time it takes you to do one open world game, and so every one of them has their own like unique thing. But so I have a very I like Uncharted 3 the most, and a lot of people give me crap for it.
That is controversial.
Yeah, I know that is super controversial, but what I will say is like, so 1 has the boat, and then 2 has the train, and 3 has the plane, and all those are memorable. And I think 4 gets kind of forgotten, but when I really think about it, 4 emotionally had so many emotional moments that when I really go and think about it, like those are the ones that hit me the most were from 4. Seeing Nathan's story wrap up, and not really so much with Sam. I definitely feel like Sam was kind of more of a side thing that they got going on there, but just with Nathan's story, it was really good, really touching. And then, of course, I really liked 2. I just didn't like the last boss. The last boss pissed me off so much.
Yeah. For 3?
No, 2.
Oh,
2.
Yeah.
2
If
is.
there was any complaint about those games, it's those final bosses. Like, they just don't know how to end the game. Like, it's okay not to have a boss fight.
Well, and see, that's why I like 3, because 3 was a little dumb because, spoilers, they're kind of in a demon realm, but there's no, like, big boss fight where you had to shoot a guy a million times, and then, like, in 2, you had to make sure you hit your grenades right with a stupid fruit. I'm like, no. No.
Come on, though. Uncharted 3's final boss fight, it was a knife fight.
Well, yeah, but and then 4 is the 4 is the sword fight. I hate 4's ending so much. Like, you're really the fact that I have a tutorial on the final boss fight was like, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. This is the dumbest thing and I haven't played it, but I've already heard, like, this is not really spoilers for Last of Us 2, but, like, Last of Us 2 has a tutorial, like, in the last 30 minutes of the game. And I'm like, Naughty Dog, what is the point? I want to finish the game at this point. Stop introducing new stuff. But yeah, Uncharted will always be great. But I think weirdly enough, like emotionally, I think 4 hits me the most, and then Chloe and Nadine, I think, are like really cool characters that deserve to be in more games, and I hope they do. But then 1, 2, and 3 always have like the better action sequences and stuff. But yeah, Uncharted's a great series. One I can always go back to.
All right. Well, I've already gushed about Uncharted and my love for it. Like I said, it was the deciding factor for me to plop $600 down for the OG PS3 when it was announced, and I've been hooked ever since. I bought every major game in the series, all the way from Uncharted to Uncharted 4. I even bought the who isn't going to buy the collection? The collection edition, like it's remastered 1080p HDR, all that good stuff. Who's not gonna get that one? And of course, the Lost Legacy. I've got Golden Abyss. I feel like a lot of people missed out on a really good adventure. Like, it had some limitations with what it was because it was a handheld game, but it was one of the first games that actually really showcased how hard the Vita could go, and it was damn near a launch game. That was the crazy part. It wasn't quite a launch title, but it came out the first year of the Vita, and it was amazing. And Golden Abyss is definitely one of my favorites. Uncharted 2 is my favorite. Austin and I have battles about this from time to time on our Crossroads episodes.
I know I'm in a minority because Logan is like, no, it's 2. I'm like, I don't know. I like 3 better.
Here's the thing about it. I don't think 3 is a bad game, but I do. I've said this because as a writer, I've said, like, your ending can ruin a good movie or a good story and stuff like that. And I just feel like the final boss fight just wasn't that. I mean, I did like seeing what's her name, getting her just desserts at the end when she got swallowed up by the sand. Yeah. But beyond, like the fight with Talbot, kind of just didn't do it for me and stuff like that. So but that just made my letter grade of the game go down. But it is not me saying the game is bad though, because I enjoyed it. I played it again. So if it was that bad, I wasn't going to play it again. But my favorite, my standout in the series is Uncharted 2, and if anything, is just for the opening. That whole thing on the train. Oh my god. That's all I'm gonna say. That whole opening on the train, like, it's something you had to experience. And, it's one of those things. It's the beginning of the game, so technically you could die as many times as you want, and it wouldn't matter. But at the same time, it was one of the most harrowing experiences I'd ever played in the game up to that point. Uncharted for me, like, it was a storytelling. For real, like, it was just something, like, the characters were wonderful. Even their bad guys were pretty good. Well, the exception of Talbot, but even their bad guys were good. Like, there was some type of weight and depth to, like, almost every character in the game. Like the friends that you met for that were Drake. What was the big British dude? What was his name? I can't remember his name to save my life right now. But that dude, was it Cutter? Yeah, Cutter.
Yeah, Cutter.
that dude was a trip. Cutter. That dude was a trip. But I think the quintessential moment for me for Uncharted was when Nate met Nadine for the first time. That was that was the one.
Got his ass kicked too.
She whipped his ass in a library while there was a party going on in the rest of the house. Oh man. Okay, so the question was asked earlier in the show: do we think the game series will carry on with their daughter Cassie? What do you guys say?
Depends on if they're doing a numbered sequel or not.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, not to really hark on like an Xbox franchise, but Halo, up until Halo 5, has always done a good job of keeping the numbered sequels focusing on Chief, right? And then the side stories would be like Halo Reach or Halo ODST or Fireteam Raven. Their spin-off games were always kept out of the numbered loop. So I guess if you're going to bring back Uncharted and you want to bring it back in a big way, you slap a 5 on it just for the marketing, I feel like. And continue the legacy of Drake's Drake's family and Drake's legacy. Maybe that's what you call it, Drake's legacy. Great title, Sony. You can have that one. It's free. Just send me a PS5. I'll settle my payment for as a PS5. But yeah, I think you could continue it as the daughter, and I think it would be really interesting to watch her give her own trilogy almost, and like watch her grow through doing exactly what her father did and what her mom doesn't want her to do, clearly. I think it'd be cool. I think it'd be a cool dynamic. Especially if, either Drake or his brother took up the Sully role, right? Like as a side character and went on adventures with you. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, and this wouldn't be the first time that an IP has done this, right? Wolfenstein did the same thing with the kind of refresh. It was Wolfenstein, and then Wolfenstein 2, and then you had Youngblood, which was the twin daughters, in that timeline. So, Youngblood wasn't as successful. I mean, it was a different concept, but I'm still an OG. That's another franchise that is near and dear to my heart, all the way back to the beginning. But
cool
but I
idea,
think those
by the way.
Yeah,
the daughter, like the cool story, cool concept, co-op Wolfenstein game, but the way they went about it was just kind of meh.
Yeah.
You know what? As we've got the live video playing, just now from Uncharted 4, another crazy ass scene was Uncharted. I think it was Uncharted 2. Remember, like you had just got through like running from. No, it was Uncharted 3. You just got through running from a whole bunch of people, and all of a sudden this big ass like personnel carrier like comes barreling down like these staircases, and Drake is there running from it, shooting it in the grill, and right when it looks like he's going to get like sandwiched between the vehicle and the wall, like all of a sudden like all of his bullets finally take his toll on the truck. That's another one of those moments that sticks in your head and stuff like that. And it's storytelling. I mean, for real, it is.
Yeah.
The storytelling and the platforming is crazy because, man, this dude's super athletic. Like, I mean, God, he put some of the WWE wrestlers to shame, like with all the stuff that he does. Like, it's crazy, like how much does a guy weigh? Like, how much does he weigh? How much strength does he have in his fingers to be able to like leap from ledges across the side of a mountain and hold himself up? Man, there's so much good stuff we could talk about with Uncharted.
Nathan Drake does finger curls, that's for sure. He's got little weights that like just
right.
He just ties them onto it like two at a time. He's like, whoop, whoop.
Man, yeah. I mean, Uncharted, it's fun. I hope it's not over. If anything, like either continue with the characters that are already established, like Chloe and Nadine. I don't know. Maybe put Sully out the pasture. I like him. He's funny, but like even he was admitting in Uncharted 3 he was getting too old for this stuff.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna retire the Sully character. They're gonna put someone else in that role, right? I really feel that way.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be the brother too, right?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, they kind of alluded that Sam might be the next fixture. If the series continues, they kind of alluded that. They actually alluded that in the retrospective on the NaughtyDog.com blog about that.
Now, another way they could go. Do you think they could do like a prequel with the brother?
Yeah, like his own thing. Yeah,
not that I want that, but like. They could go that direction too. With Lost Legacy, they opened it up to where they could really do anything,
Yeah.
I mean, they really have so many avenues. It's just like, which one do you go and which one makes most people happy? And I think you got to go with the daughter route, or you make Nathan Drake, or you make Chloe Nadine. And I feel like anything else is going to be very mixed thoughts.
Yeah, you can't have like a totally new character, right? You can't. I think that would be the wrong way to go. But
yeah, or just give me a Cutter game. Just give me Cutter.
Right.
Give me British Uncharted.
British Uncharted. All right, so trying to think. There was one more thing. Did you guys play any of like the side content stuff? What was the one? It was like their version of like like how Tomb Raider and Hitman had to go. They had their version of Uncharted. I can't remember the name of it though. And then there was the Uncharted card game. And then
Fight for Fortune.
Yeah, Fight for Fortune.
Yeah.
We also had the digital the interactive comic that was basically like telling the origin story. Well, telling the story between him and the guy that was always chasing him in Uncharted 1, the Filipino dude, I think it was. I think.
Yeah, that sounds.
I can't remember. Yeah, like I mean, Uncharted has like a wonderful legacy.
And there's the Nathan Fillion fan film on YouTube.
For real. Yep.